So in this presentation we'll study resealed erythrocytes. So this is the content of my presentation. Introduction, why to use erythrocytes, then source and isolation of erythrocytes, advantages, limitation, then how to load the erythrocytes with drug, then references, at the last references. So my erythrocytes, what is erythrocytes? It is most extensively investigated and found to possess great potential in novel drug delivery system. It can be loaded with drug enzymes and provide target. So such kind of system we can prepare simply by separating. We have to collect blood samples from the animals, then we have to separate erythrocytes from the plasma, from the blood samples, then we have to entrap this erythrocytes with the drug molecules, and then is again we have to reseal the erythrocytes. Hence these are called as resealed erythrocytes. We are opening it again, we are sealing it. That's why it is called as resealed erythrocytes. So what is erythrocytes? Erythro means red and it is cytes means cells. So this is red cells. It is we can see from the side view and top view, it is biconcave discs filled with hemoglobin, a protein that transfers the gas transport, or using it carries the oxygen, as we know. So this is the structure of RBCs. We can say RBCs to the red blood cells to the erythrocytes. Then why erythrocyte we have to use as a carrier? As erythrocytes we are taking from the human bloods of the animals, so it is main factories, it is biochemical. We transfer various bioactive substances, biological carriers of drugs and enzymes. So we can we can entrap various drug molecules in the erythrocytes, and it is biocompatible, so no chances of immunogenic response by the body. Then we can load drugs and we can have a various kind of drug release. We can have a different release rates we can obtain using RBCs. And we can encapsulation in erythrocytes significantly changes as the pharmacokinetic properties of drug in both animals and humans, enhancing liver and spleen uptake and targeting the reticuloendothelial system. Encapsulation of new products with increased duration of action can be possible. And as we discussed, it is biocompatible, biodegradable, possesses long circulation half-lives, and can be loaded with a variety of biological active compounds using different methods. So it is used for various entrapment of drug molecules, and it is abundantly available, and uh, and we have capability to prevent its premature degradation or inactivation. So how we can so where from we can obtain these erythrocytes? We can obtain by various animals like mice, cattle, pig, dog, sheep, goat, monkey, chicken, etc., and including human also. So whole blood can be collected by simple vein puncture. We can collect the blood in a heparin coated tube. Heparin or EDTA we can use to stop the coagulation or as a anticoagulating agent. So we have to use fresh blood for loading of drugs. So what are the advantages of erythrocytes to use as a drug carrier? It is biodegradable, isolation is easy, as it is sourced from the human blood, so we can use animal blood, so it is biodegradable, and isolation it is easy. It is biocompatible, so it is non-immunogenic. It will not produce any immune response, or it will not induce any immune response in a body. We can entrap large volume of drug in a small volume of erythrocytes. We can increase the systemic activity of drug, we can reduce its adverse effect. And peptide and enzyme delivery also possible by entrapping them in a basis. Then what are the limitations? It is limited potential carrier to non-phagocytic target tissues. So which are not non-phagocytic target tissues, it is having limited potential. We cannot target non-phagocytic tissues. So possibility, there is a huge possibility of drug leakage from the cells, and there may be also another possibility is cell dumping, that drug may not release from the RBCs, which may results into cell dumping. Several molecules may alter the physiology of erythrocyte, that may also affect on its uh, release pattern, or it may affect on the its stability also. So it is liable to biological contamination, as it is from the blood, and we are treating that blood in a various equipment. So in that process there may be chances of biological contamination. So next point is its potential of RBCs, or we can say how it is used in RBC steps of the resealed erythrocytes as a drug carrier. These were first realized in 1970, that we can use RBCs as a potential drug carrier. Then drug which are normally unable to penetrate the membrane, which cannot pass through the GI tract, which have some problem in the absorption, such kind of drugs we can go with the RBCs. So, but in this study it is found that the drug molecules which cannot penetrate through the RBC's membrane, we have to use some technique. We have to develop some techniques to make them penetrable through the RBC membrane. So to entrap them in a RBCs. So, and another point they have to consider is cells must be able to release the entrapped drug in a controlled manner upon reaching the target tissue. So these are the various points that must be considered while using RBCs for the drug carrier. Then effects of tonicity, we will see this is the basic mechanism of the basic principle of RBC encapsulation, or how we can entrap drug in RBCs. RBCs have various effect, or very unique effect of tonicity, that if your solution is isotonic, once it is having same osmotic pressure as like of your RBC, that solution is known as isotonic solution. So in isotonic solution it will be a normal cell, it will not expand or it will not constrict. But if your solution is hypotonic, then it will swell and it will rupture, it will have openings in its membrane in hypotonic solution, because outside solvent will get inside the cell. And if your solution is hypertonic, means its concentration is more than the isotonic solution, higher concentration, then inside solvent, or inside solvent present in RBC will move outside, it will causes constriction of RBCs. So this principle we can use to load the drug in a RBCs. Some other methods are also there, like electropagation, osmosis based methods. In this figure we can say the first is A is the electropagation. So what electropagation? Using electric signals we can modify the penetrability or permeability of RBCs. In detail, one by one we will see, but in first figure it is electropagation, then in second figure it is osmosis based, that is B, then third is co-incubation, incubating method, then D is the BioBridge method, and E is the CPP mediation method. These are the various methods by which we can load the drug in RBCs. We'll see one by one. So only what is electropagation? We have to expose RBCs to the strong electrical field, external electric field, which will induce openings in the RBC membranes, and thus through that opening the agents can diffuse in the cells, and this method can be used in the encapsulation of enzymes, nucleic acid and anionic drugs such as diclofenac sodium. But the main disadvantage of this method is it can cause disruption of the cell membrane, result in the partial or irreversible loss to the RBCs. We cannot reseal them. It may be ruptured permanently. This is the main disadvantage of the electroporation. This is the figure of electroporation, how we can do. So RBCs in a electric field, we have to keep of 2.2 kilowatt electric current for 20 microseconds at 25 degrees Celsius. It will cause RBCs to open. It will openings. It will cause openings in the RBC membrane. Through that opening, your drug loading suspension will get inside, and then these drug loaded RBCs we have to keep in a current again for 20 microseconds of 3.7 kilowatt with isotonic NaCl. So isotonic this loaded RBCs, when you kept in a isotonic NaCl resealing buffer, it will reseal RBCs, and we can get a resealed RBCs with a drug loaded. So this is figure of RBC jet capillary, so that it will not, that RBCs will not get exposed to the external environment. It will be closed. Through that jet capillary only we can pass the electric current, and another is for the passing the isotonic solution. So using electric current we can cause we can cause openings in the RBC membrane, and using isotonic solution we can reseal it. So this is electroporation. Then osmosis based method, as we have discussed, due to hypotonic solution, outside solvent can get inside, and in hypotonic solution, inside solvent of RBCs will come outside. So RBCs, when you kept 0.4% NaCl solution, which is hypotonic, 0.9% of NaCl is isotonic. So we are using hypotonic solution. So what happen? External fluid with drug molecule, it will get inside the RBCs, and this is why it is possible, because due to the hypotonic solution RBCs get swell, and it will have openings, or it will have ruptured membrane. So due to through that openings, drug can get inside the RBCs. Then again this loaded RBCs we can reseal by keeping in a resealing buffer or in a isotonic medium, which will have again due to that isotonic solution, again it will gain its own shape with a loaded drug molecules, which can we have to wash it, and later we can use it. Wash, after washed, these RBCs can be injected in our body. The main disadvantage is the loss of cellular components or cellular constituents of the RBCs. Why? Because of the openings in the RBCs membrane. This is the one of the main disadvantages of osmosis based drug delivery, osmosis based drug loading method. Then in co-incubation method, what we have is some of the drugs or some of the agents which have capacity to form attaching bonds or bonds with the RBCs. So drugs such as primacune, hydrocortisone, vinblastocin can be encapsulated in RBCs by incubation directly. We have to keep them in a incubation period. So such kind of non-proteins, they can so the non-protein drug, they can attach to the surface of RBCs via electrostatic interaction or van der Waals forces or hydrophobic interaction. This cellular strategy significantly improved the blood pharmacokinetics of non-proteins molecules and open a new application or new method for the drug loading to the RBCs. So what we have to do? We have to incubate the drug with RBC, and then that that drug with loaded RBCs, we have to reseal the resealing buffer or acetylenic solution we have to use, and it will cause the drug loaded in the RBCs. Then bio-bridge method. In this method, we can use iodine biotin bridge is a common way to form a bridge or to form a bond with the RBCs. This iodine biotin bridge can form a bond with the RBC surface. We can attach approximately 100 biotin molecules per cell. So with that biotin conjugate, we can add drug molecule to the biotin iodine biotin bridge, and that biotin iodine bridge can attach, or it will form bond with the RBCs. In such way, uh, we can couple the drug molecule with the RBCs. Next is the CPP mediation method. So what is CPP? It stands for the cell penetrating peptide. So it is cell penetrating peptide, CPP, cell penetrating peptide mediation method. It is a new method to load proteins into the RBCs without altering the structure or its function. We don't in this method we are not going to alter the RBC structure. So the main disadvantage of other methods like loss of cell constituents or loss of cell structure, that we can overcome using CPP mediation method. In this L-asparginase they have used as a conjugate, which is a protamine based cell penetrating peptide via disulfide bonds. The CPP protein conjugation can be easily uptaken by the cells and then release the protein by redox response cleavage of disulfide bond. So this CPP peptide, it will form a disulfide bond with the cell, that is RBC, and that CPP disulfide bond can be broken by the redox responsive cleavage in the cell. So this could be the method which can be used for the RBCs, for the entrapment of drug in RBCs. So these are the methods, various methods for the entrapment of drug in RBCs. So first of all it was electroporation, then conjugation, then incubating, then swelling, and then we can use bio-bridge method, then you can use CPP mediation method for the drug loading. So this is all about the resealed erythrocytes. Thank you.